If you could retreat far enough, past the orbit of the Moon, beyond Mars, through the edge of the solar system, you would see Earth not as a world, but as a faint point of light, drifting silently in the dark. Compared to the universe, Earth is unworthy even of being called a grain of sand. If all the planets in the cosmos were an endless desert, then Earth would not even qualify as a speck of dust. And yet, on that tiny blue dot, life ignited, endured, and resisted extinction for more than 4 billion years. The universe has existed for 13.8 billion years. Humanity appeared only in the final 70% of that timeline. Did we arrive too late or just in time? If the universe has existed for nearly 14 billion years, then what happened during the remaining 99.99985% of its history? How many civilizations were born? How many destroyed themselves? And how many of them stared into the darkness as we do today, wondering whether they were alone? Perhaps humanity's greatest fear is not that there is no one out there, but the possibility that there were once many and all of them vanished. In 1964, a Soviet astrophysicist named Nikolai Kardashev posed a chilling question. If we want to measure the evolution of a civilization, what should we measure? Not morality, not art, not philosophy. He chose something far more ruthless: energy. Because every civilization, no matter how noble, is ultimately constrained by the amount of energy it can harness, control, and sustain. According to the Kardashev scale, we have not even reached Type 1. We are still at Type 0, a civilization that still burns coal, drills oil, depends on gas, launches rockets using chemical fuel, a crude technology, like using explosives to force open the door to the universe. We cannot yet leave our home planet. We cannot sustain ourselves beyond Earth. We cannot control weather, earthquakes, or oceans. We are like a newborn child, intelligent, yet chained tightly to its cradle. Type Y civilization is one that can harness the total energy of its home planet: wind, water, sunlight, geothermal heat, tides, without destroying it. The required threshold, 1016 watts per second. To reach it, humanity must pass through 2 gates of survival. We have learned how to tear atoms apart, but we have not yet learned how to nurture the fire of the stars. Nuclear fusion, the power source of the sun, is the dream of limitless clean energy. Yet it remains perpetually out of reach. We can build thermonuclear bombs, but we cannot turn them into light for our cities. Every second, the sun delivers to Earth 35,000 times more energy than all of humanity consumes in an entire year. Yet most of it is reflected, scattered, wasted. If humanity learns to collect and store light, energy would become as easy to obtain as oxygen. When Type 1 is achieved, Earth will no longer be a collection of nations. There will be only one planet, one civilization, one humanity. Weather is controlled. Deserts are watered. Storms are no longer disasters. Human lifespan extends to its natural biological limit, around 150 years. Humanity lives beneath the oceans, in Earth's orbit, deep underground, and on other planets. At that point, we begin to touch space, not as intruders, but as true inhabitants. But the energy of a single planet, no matter how vast, will never be enough forever. To go further, a civilization must harness its parent star. From this idea was born the Dyson sphere, a colossal structure enclosing a star to capture its entire energy output. Not a single solid shell, but Dyson rings, Dyson swarms, Dyson bubble cities orbiting the sun, worlds sustained by starlight. In 2015, a star 1,400 light-years from Earth puzzled astronomers. Its brightness dropped by 15%, then 22%, in patterns no planet could explain. No natural object could cause this. So what was blocking the light? An error, a dust cloud, or a vast artificial structure? If it was a Dyson swarm, then there once existed, or still exists, a Type 2 civilization. At this level, a civilization is no longer bound to stars or planets. They harness supermassive black holes, antimatter, quantum energy. They travel between stars, build galactic networks, store consciousness, copy memory. Death is no longer an ending, only a data failure. Yet even they cannot escape ultimate destruction. Kardashev believed Type 3 was the limit. But if that were true, would the universe not be too simple? If there exist civilizations that control time, create and destroy universes, step outside space-time itself, then perhaps we are standing only before the very first gate. And the true question is not, do they exist, but will humanity survive long enough to meet them? If a Type 3 civilization is the master of a galaxy, then a Type 4 civilization has realized a terrifying truth. A galaxy is only a cell. They no longer see the universe as a space to conquer, but as a structure to be edited. At this level, the energy of millions of galaxies is irrelevant. What they truly possess is control over the fundamental architecture of reality. Space is no longer fixed. Time no longer flows in one direction. To them, space-time is a surface that can be folded, like a sheet of paper in human hands. Type 1 beings no longer live in a universe. They live between universes. They have discovered that our universe is merely a bubble in the ocean of the multiverse. They construct corridors of reality, paths that do not exist in three-dimensional space, where each step can lead to another universe with entirely different physical constants. There are universes without light, universes without time, universes where thought itself is a fundamental force. They do not invade, they migrate. When a universe grows old, cold, and dies a heat death, a Type 4 civilization simply leaves. There is an unwritten law of the multiverse. Lower civilizations are not permitted to perceive higher ones, not out of compassion, but because awareness itself is a form of disturbance. If a Type 01 civilization knew its reality was merely one version among countless copies, it would collapse before it could mature. Thus, Type 4 civilizations do not hide. They simply cannot be seen, just as a two-dimensional being cannot see a human standing outside the page. Type 4 civilizations travel between universes. Type 5 civilizations repair them. They no longer obey the Planck constant, the speed of light, the principle of causality. To them, the laws of physics are merely configuration parameters. They can create universes where death does not exist, erase linear time, design reality as one programs a virtual world. Young universes are seeded like crops planted in soil. Some fail, some succeed. We, perhaps, are living inside a test version. To a Type V civilization, God is not the supreme creator. God is simply a misunderstood civilization. Ancient miracles, apocalypses, voices from the heavens may be nothing more than residual interference from those who altered reality before departing. If Type V still requires a universe to exist, then Type 6 no longer needs physical reality at all. They have abandoned bodies, space, time, matter. Their consciousness exists as pure mathematical structure. They do not live, they are defined, just as prime numbers exist without anyone thinking of them. At this level, the question where becomes meaningless. They exist wherever logic exists. Every universe eventually dies. Temperature approaches absolute zero. Energy disperses completely. Motion ceases. No new information arises. This is heat death. Type 6 civilizations do not resist it. They wait, because the death of a universe is the doorway to the final level. Type 7 civilizations do not exist within the universe, not within the multiverse, not within existence itself. They exist before the concept of existence. If the universe is a story, then Type 7 is the one reading it. They do not create universes with energy, but with choice. Which universes are allowed to exist? Which are erased? Which laws are permitted to emerge? For them, time does not flow. All moments exist simultaneously. There is a forbidden hypothesis in theoretical physics. Type 7 civilizations are not others. They are the inevitable end of every civilization that survives long enough. Every civilization, if it does not destroy itself, evolves to the point where there is no distinction between the observer, physical law, and reality itself. At that point, the universe no longer needs explanation. It is experienced from the outside. Perhaps humanity is only a fragile seed of consciousness, an experiment, a fading memory, or the distant origin of them. Perhaps Type 7s that once stood on a blue planet looked up at the night sky and asked, "Are we alone?" The universe is not silent. It is only waiting for us to become mature enough to listen.